In 1984, an American chemical company, through negligence, gassed nearly an entire city in a single terrible accident. Friends of mine who survived the disaster say they awoke in the middle of the night because they could not stop coughing. Struggling for breath, they opened their eyes, which began to burn like fire, and each made a choice. Hide at home or run for your life. One by one, thousands of people drowned in their own lungs. Running, they were trampled by the blind crowd of fleeing people. Hiding, they died alone. 25,000 people have died as a result of that terrible night and from the toxic mess the company left behind. 26 years have passed, and yet no justice has been done in Bhopal. Union Carbide, the company responsible for the disaster, paid $500 per person to walk away from the mess, ignoring that Carbide was, and still is, wanted for negligent homicide in India. Pretending not to know the drinking water in Bhopal was poisoned, and that the poison is spreading today. Dow Chemical bought Union Carbide. Do you think Dow showed up in court? They said it wasn't their problem. According to Dow, the same Indian citizens who lost their greatest friends, their mothers, their brothers, their children, should also have to pay to clean up the toxic mess. But no one has cleaned up the mess, which could cost $1 billion, who knows, and the people in Bhopal are living with that every day. I've been to Bhopal many times in the last 5 years, and the young people your age are among the most powerful voices for justice. To find out why, I want us to try as best as we can for a minute to stand in their shoes. Young man in the blue hat, what's your name and where are you from and how old are you? What year were you born?
I'm Josh from Ardsley, New York, and I was born in 1994. I'm 16.
1994. So let's pretend that perhaps you were born in Bhopal in 1994. And every family gets excited when a new child is born, but if you were born in parts of Bhopal, your mom would have been very, very, very nervous. Do you know why?
No.
Because too many children in Bhopal are born blind. They're born deaf. They're born with twisted limbs. They can't speak. They can't sit up. They can't walk. They can't play. Some children die as babies. The chemicals are in the water. They're in your mother. They're in your father. They're in your bodies and they twist your genes. Your family thinks about leaving, but this is the only neighborhood they can afford. It's close to where they work and it puts food on the table. And you crack your eyes open in the morning and think about getting out of bed. It is hard. And I'm sure those of you who are on the buses this morning were especially tired and can relate to that feeling of, But imagine waking up to find out you can't move because your body has been nearly paralyzed by these toxic chemicals, as so many children are. Or imagine you can get out of bed, but it's to go to work and construction instead of school because your family needs the money for medicine. The medicines for your mother who sits struggling for every breath in the corner of your home. Imagine waiting in lines hours and hours for clean water and fighting to fill one bucket of that rare thing for the entire week. This is what will change when we win justice in Bhopal. Justice in Bhopal looks like healthy, smiling children. Justice for Bhopal looks like parents who get health care they need for lifelong injuries caused by Dow Carbide. Justice is free, flowing, clean water near your home so that little girls are waiting in line to go to school, not for water. And I'm very happy to say that partly because of the efforts of Amnesty International, at least 10,000 people have poison-free water in Bhopal today. Woo! But there is much, much more work to be done. The poison is still in the groundwater and it's still spreading, and there's at least as many, if not more people, still drinking the poison now. Another great victory for Amnesty and for the Bhopal campaign is this year, after 26 years of injustice, the Indian government has reopened the compensation case for those injured and disabled by the Bhopal disaster, and that's going on right now, and we need a lot of support for that. I hope that you'll look at the flyer in your sheet and visit bhopal.org and studentsforbhopal.org and see how you can help us, because the U.S. government has a really critical role in this issue and whether there's justice for the survivors or not, because Dow Chemical is an American corporation and the U.S. government has protected them thus far from having to show up in court. So we're not doing a protest for Bhopal today, but Get on the Bus has made a big impact for Bhopal in the past, and I hope that you'll check out those websites and see what you can do. Since injustice anywhere is an affront to justice everywhere, I want to give a shout out to some amazing protests for the refugees in Chad, for Dongdup Wanchen, for Philip Karma, and for the victims of war crimes in Sri Lanka. But I'm not really sure